In today's society, there are many advertisers that use sex, whether it is explicitly or subliminally, to draw attention to their product. This marketing strategy has brought enormous success to many companies and their products, and has become very popular within the industry. Because of its popularity, seeing ads that are sexually explicit doesn't faze most consumers, and for the most part, we are not upset at this use of content. After all, we still buy their products, so something must be working. Although this wasn't always the case, as Rutherford references in his novel Sex Sells, before 1911 and the creation of the eroticized ad for Woodbury soap, advertisers believed the sole reason to produce an advertisement was to convey information about that product. The Woodbury soap ad was created by Helen Lansdowne, who was one of the very few female copywriters at the time. Today when we look at this ad, some may think that this is very innocent and tame compared to what we are used to seeing today. But at the time, this ad caused some controversy because it was the first time consumers saw a man and a woman together in an eroticized ad. Following the success of Woodbury soap, which continued its Dreams of Romance campaign for 38 years, was the debut of the maiden-born woman, also more commonly known as the pinup girl. Rutherford defines the pinup girl as an illustration of a sexy, beautiful young woman, usually semi-clad and carefully designed to reveal her physical charms, especially her breasts and her legs, to the lustful eyes of the male voyeur. In 1949, it was Marilyn Monroe who represented this pinup girl. The pinup was used in the Dream campaign for maiden-born bras from 1949 to 1969, during which the ad had appeared in 115 countries. The slogan they used was, "I dreamed I went shopping in my maiden-born bra," which alluded to the fact that perhaps during that trip she may encounter some unusual but pleasurable adventures. Norman B. Norman explains that the Dream campaign exploited the energy psychoanalysis associated with perversion. And according to Freud, fantasies of being naked in public were not only commonplace but freighted with moral and sexual significance, because they were, above all, dreams of exhibiting that usually, but not always, evoked feelings of shame. Today, there is research that focuses on the advancement of sexually explicit ads. A study performed by Courtney Carpenter and Tom Rainchert looked at how sexual ads developed from the mid-60s until today. They found that in 1964, women were dressed sexually in 31% of the ads, compared to 49% in later years. Likewise, in 1964, 6% of males were dressed sexually compared to 18% in later years. Also, from 1983 to 1993, couples in advertisements showed intimate sexual contact in 21% of ads versus 53% 10 years later. Evidently, sexual content has become a favorable choice for advertisers when choosing how they are going to market their product. Advertisers are also finding that they need to push the envelope to evoke attention to their product because of direct competitive pressure and because consumers are becoming habituated with sexually provocative ads. Rainchard and others suggest that this increase in sexual advertising reflected societal trends of increased liberalism with sexual awareness. With shifting social trends and increasingly vocal critics of indecency in advertising and media, it is important to assess the status of sex in advertising over the years. Depending on what message the sender wants to deliver, there is a choice of channel that needs to take place. Marcus Hilton and Eric Luntz outline the advantages and reasons for choosing each mode of communication. There is the mode of television, which enables a seller to communicate to a broad range of potentially large audiences. There is the mode of radio, which is an important means of broadcast communication for smaller companies operating within a restricted geographic area. There's magazines, which can be presented and then examined selectively at the reader's leisure and narrowly targeted to a niche audiences. There's newspapers, which are preferably used for communicating swiftly and flexibly to a large audience. There's also outdoor advertising, which is used to provide rapidly digestible messages to passers-by or to offer something for a person to look at. There's movie theaters, which is not a major medium, however it can be used to reach selected audiences, especially younger people. The internet, it is a tool for accessing information and to widen the distribution of a company's image. Here is a good example of how an internet-based company called GoDaddy.com, which sells domain names for cheap, uses television to attract more than 2 million viewers to their site in one day.
Dougie.
What?
What are you doing, man? The game's on.
I used to watch for the commercials.
Thank you. Wardrobe malfunction. Right. Whoa, is that Danica Patrick?
Waiting for her exposure ad to run. You won't see it on TV, but it's on at GoDaddy.com.
After that commercial aired during the second quarter of the Super Bowl, Bob Parson, CEO of GoDaddy, took to his blog to explain his success. He states that the website has never been busier. Before the Super Bowl even finished, the site had 1.5 million visits and finished with 2 million visitors for the day. This compares to last year's when they had less than 500,000 visitors. They also saved a lot of money this year, considering they only aired one ad versus last year when they aired 3. So for a fraction of the price, they got 4 times the action. This is just one site that has substantially profited by having sexually suggestive commercials. How do consumers perceive provocative ads for a cause versus ads for consumer goods? Kevin Voges and others say that the use of provocation in the form of mild erotica in appeals for causes behaves in the same way that it does in advertising for consumer goods. They believe that individuals prefer provocative sexual stimuli in advertisements, and this is a change that has occurred over the last 20 to 25 years. This preference is amplified by congruity between ad content and the product or service being advertised. Where the advertisement is an appeal for a cause, the effects of provocation is stronger among females than among males. This is probably due to the greater responsiveness exhibited by females toward causes when compared with males. This again proves that under most circumstances, consumers favorably perceive the use of provocative content. Heineken launched the It's All About the Beer campaign. One spot was called The Premature Pour, which shows a beautiful, seductive woman pouring Heineken in a glass. When a guy across the bar notices her, and because he is so distracted, he ends up pouring his beer all over himself.
I'm so in love with you. Whatever you want to do is alright with me. 'Cause you make me feel so brand new.
The sexual content is implicit yet direct. Steve Davis, Vice President of Marketing for Heineken, explains that sexual reference in this ad and other spots in the campaign worked, causing sales to rise 13% in the first 2 quarters of 2002. He continues to explain that provocative is a very good place to be as long as we're not inflammatory. But the spots also work for a different reason. From the tagline to the plot, they are about a desire for Heineken. Their ads make the beer the hero.
As Jean Kilbourne explains, the images we see today that are common in TV commercials, magazines, subscription cards, billboards, and other forms of advertisements used to be considered as pornography. There are some people that may look at these ads and find them demeaning, sexist, and there are some who may not find anything wrong with using erotica in advertising. Benoit Mittal and Wilfred Lazar believe the explanation for this is quite simple. If you are more sexually liberated, you won't mind the high-sex ads, versus the sexually unliberated people who do mind. Either way, to each its own, but consumers better get used to it if they are not ready. The bottom line is, sex sells.